How's my volume? Cool.
You're good.
Okay.
You good, man? You good?
All right. And we are live. Man, welcome back. We are back with another day. Y'all know we took a little break. Y'all know Mondays is always a good day because we get to talk with Robert Vaughn, and he always apparently has a guest, and it's super dope. Like all his guests have been good. So I'm excited to hear this one. And I got my notebook somewhere. If I don't find my notebook, I'm gonna use my notepad on my phone because it always dropping nuggets because y'all know what we do here. It's all about collaboration because collaboration thrives creativity. And y'all know we create because we created by the creator. Welcome back to the Zone Media, where we
All
get to
right.
let's talk with Robert Vaughn.
Okay. Well, welcome back, folks, and it's good to join you once again. And today we have our guest today is Mike Shomo. Mike Shomo has been in the music business. He has a degree in broadcast management and marketing, and he has a professional career spanning over 40 years in the service and media industries. He was general manager of Time Tracks Recording Studio in Cleveland. He's managed various professional artists and had his own label at one time, and also is the published author of a book. And today we've invited Mike on to talk a little bit about branding. I know we started off a couple of weeks ago, and branding such an in-depth subject. We thought we would do part two today. So I'm going to invite Mike to come on and get it going and let us know. And then I'll hop in from time to time and we'll have a discussion. And feel free certainly to call in or not call in, excuse me, to text in if you have any questions, and we'll be sure to answer them. So without further ado, Mike, go ahead.
Well, thanks, Robert. I appreciate you having me on the show and everything. You and I go way back, way back.
Yeah.
And let me start with the company I work for is Sodexo USA, and it's a service company, and they do global marketing and they're established all over the world. They have over 500,000 employees that work for them, and what they do is service, whether it's contract service, whether it's janitorial, whether it's food service, but their brand says service and says excellent service, like Airmark or these type of companies that you have that they live on the reputation of their brand. Now, first thing we have to do is define what is branding. Branding is the promotion of a particular product or company by means of marketing, advertising, and or distinctive design, uh, recognition, association, identification of a product or a company. Now, the key words in this is that product or company. You have to have a product, even if you say Robert Vaughn is the product. Okay, then you can start with, well, what does Robert Vaughn do? How can we associate this? When people see Robert Vaughn, what are they going to think of? You know, you have to have a product or a company that can deliver an existing product, better, cheaper, faster, better. Tell me, Rob, what does Amazon make?
Money,
That's exactly it. They don't manufacture jack nothing. Okay.
except for
Airbnb,
except for
Airbnb is
money.
like the largest real estate company. What property do they own? None. Very little. They use your property and they market that, and that's their business. So they become their brand. You see, one has to have something to brand. You can understand, especially when you're talking about artists, the product. What is the product? Where does it fit? In branding, you have to have the marketing. And in researching and placing your product in the proper genre, atmosphere, trends, performance predictions, politics or policies, demographic areas, market share, packaging, labeling, and design. I did a work for a guy. He has a truck, food truck, and this is just on a a lower level, not like a big company like Pepsi, Coke, or anything like. But this is a local guy. He has a business called CJ's, and CJ's has a trailer that goes around to various sites in Cleveland. And I gave him the name because he had a burger made out of Angus, and I took from what the cookie company had, famous Amos, and made him famous Angus. And I designed his logo for him and other things, just as simple. And that's his brand. When people see him, they say that's famous Angus. So it's identity. Um, you know, you have to have something, and you need to work with people, and have outside input of what market you want to attack or where you fit in. Before you can brand anything. The whole concept of advertising, which a lot of people don't get, but it's very simple. It's 3 words: source of difference. Source of difference is the basics of advertising. What makes my product different from yours? It may be the color, the smell, the unique qualities, sound, style, bigger, softer, powerful, sweeter, less, more, cheaper. We don't like to use the word cheaper. We like to say cost effective. Whatever it is. So branding is one of the things that in doing music, doing business, or promoting yourself, it should be thought in global terms. Got it?
Okay. Yeah, I just want to hop in here a little bit. Branding, there's basically 4 basic steps to branding, and some people call them different things. First, I think you want to define how you want to be perceived. Like famous Angus. You decided that he
Right.
was famous for his burger, and that's what would get people to relate to
Exactly.
his brand. And then when people experience your product, you want them to describe the experience and associate it with positive feelings.
Right.
Same thing with music. You want to organize your business based on this promise.
Right.
Because if he was really known for his Angus burgers, then he's has a covenant with people that I'm going to give you a good Angus burger. It's always going to taste good, and it's not going to make you sick. And so that's his promise to the people. And then you have to communicate that, I'm going to make you the best Angus burger you ever had.
Right. Right.
And then
Right.
you have to keep your promise, and you have to be consistent with
It's
your
a
brand.
covenant. It's a covenant, just like you
Yeah,
said.
yeah, yeah. And then, you have 2 parts, brand identity and then brand image.
Right.
Brand identity is the visual elements of a brand, like color, design, logo. I'm sure he probably has a picture of a big juicy burger with tomato and cheese dripping off,
Right.
and things that identify and distinguish the brand. And it could be an Angus cow, I don't know, whatever helps distinguish the brand. A brand identity, however, is different than brand image. Brand identity is visual, with a brand image is what the person would internalize about your brand. It's the impression of a product. Mike Shomo is a hip hop artist, and he's known for these dope beats. That's the
Right.
impression. When I see Mike Shomo, that's what I think about. I start, associating it with songs and with beats and, whatever. So here again, brand image is what sticks in the minds of customers and how they internalize a brand. What the brand stands for, and a set of beliefs about the brand.
Right.
So together with brand identity and brand image, you help to build your brand. From primary brand to brand extension. Mike, could you talk a little bit about maybe brand
Let
stretching
me
and
let me
brand
give you let
extension?
me before I get to that, let me give you an example of what you were just saying.
Okay.
Adolf Kors,
Okay.
back in the 70s, when the vice president said, or the president of Adolf Kors said that black people didn't have the intelligence to be, uh, vice presidents or upper management,
Yep.
and
I remember that.
out on the West, that's where their market was. But they had lost so much money in their business, their market share was just gone. What did they do? They went past the Rockies, came over north, came over west, now east. They came out east, and then they act like they was a brand new company.
Yeah.
They had the cores with the water made from the water and everything, and people didn't know in this area, how racist they were.
Right. Good. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but they reinvented their brand of the same brand.
Yeah.
Okay, now when we talk about the brands, you know, it's a strategy.
Okay.
Branding is a strategy.
It's a
Just like
marketing strategy.
just like marketing, advertising, all that's in there together.
Hmm.
How you gonna pro? You can go from street level marketing, which is billboards, passing out cards, passing out the guys that sell their CDs out the trunk and do your street level marketing till you can prove that your product and then somebody may invest in you, or you keep on like that, you make some money and just say I'll take it like that. But when you have the market strategies, you there's the house of brands. You know, that's the first type of. There's five types of market of branding strategies. You have the house brands. In this branding, you have a number of products and services to offer to the customer, and the strategy has to be used in initial stages of the brand. But the real impact is seen when your business becomes a large corporation. The advantages of that, you don't have to keep the legacy of the parent company on other brand company, and you can easily deviate from the original idea and go to diversification, and then brand positioning, is independent. The disadvantage is it might take extra time to establish it, you know, and that would be, that'd be based on, what type of marketing you got, how much time you have.
Hmm.
The second is the brand house, and that strategy of marketing the new products and the brands are seen as the branches of the main company. The individual existence of the brand is there, but is usually taken as the name of the other product. It's like the Kardashians when one of the sisters made they had the Kardashian name on the perfume to the perfume carried itself and then took it off, but they still own that brand of that. Okay, so the next one is product line. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I was
The
readjusting my
next
camera.
is a product line extension. Now, this type of branding strategy actually refers to the inclusion of new products in the existing portfolio of your business. If you're using the same brand that you have already used and entered the same product categories, then this strategy is line extension. The advantages is you cater to more customers through the introduction of that program, and feeling of the customization. You can calculate in your audience with the introduction of specific versions. You know exactly about what the performance is going to be. The disadvantage is that you cannibalize is the problem when you come to the product line strategy. So it can be a problem if you start this and then you getting away from you just tearing up the original probably, and you want to keep it like kind of in the same
Same
place.
vein. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Well,
And
I
then
just to jump in here for a second. I think the power of a brand can't be overestimated.
no,
Um,
okay.
because I always think about I look at, I give you a couple examples. Rihanna, with Fendi, with
Right.
her makeup line, Fendi, her products for women of color. Well, because she had established herself as a great artist, and she made some dope music, and she was a great person. She did a lot. She donated a lot of money, and the Rihanna brand sort of extended or stretched to include Fendi, and Fendi really didn't have to do a lot of marketing because the brand itself was so strong from being associated with Rihanna. And now I guess her underwear line, I guess, is kind of just about putting Victoria's Secret out of business.
When you say underwear,
Is it
check that. Check that.
lingerie? Lingerie. Okay, that's too old school. Lingerie.
Legal department. Legal department.
Lingerie. Okay, you know what I'm saying. Her lingerie, the brand was so
Right.
strong, her lingerie, that I mean it came out the box before people even tried it.
So why? Why?
Because based on the Fendi brand from the makeup and based on the Rihanna's brand from the music, the brand had such power, and such strength that people had confidence that the brand would be good. And
Partly. Partly.
pardon?
Partly.
Okay.
You
Okay.
did-
Okay.
you're absolutely right. But the main thing is that the brand herself, she's considered a sexy woman, and these lingerie, can maybe my husband would say, or my man would say, "Hey, you look like Rihanna."
Like Rihanna. Yeah, okay.
But see, my
Okay.
wife is a plus size woman, so I wouldn't.
Yeah,
you know, but
yeah.
I'm saying it associates. It's
Yeah.
all association. All those things down the line is what you say is absolutely right. The thing is that, but it always goes like in a circle, come back all the way, all those things plus that plus her.
Mhm.
That's what the brand is.
Yeah.
You
And,
know,
and just to show you, I know I always use I like to use an example of Common.
yeah.
What's the last record that he made? Do you know what it is?
Yeah, don't even know. I can tell you the last movie I saw him
Okay,
in.
now what's the first record that he made?
I don't even know.
And what's the record that he got a Grammy for?
I don't even know.
Nobody
No,
does.
no, no.
But his brand is
Hey, is it common knowledge?
yeah, his brand is so strong
Right.
that when Andra Day needs somebody to make a record, well, she calls him. And
Hmm.
why wouldn't she call somebody like Kanye or Jay-Z? But she calls him because he has a good, clean cut brand. When you think of Common, I always think of active in the community, straight shooting guy. Cares about his community. Uh, Dope rapper. But here again, I think that's a case where the brand might even be stronger than the product. I
Well,
don't
you
know.
you you mentioned Andrea Day.
Uh-huh.
That's a marketing nightmare. That's a
With her.
marketing night because her voice, she's just like Al Jarreau.
Hmm.
Al Jarreau, had a great voice, had this thing, but where do we put him?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He really didn't start nothing, till he had a couple of hits and stuff, and then he started. But all that struggle between there, he'd
Hmm.
make albums, nothing happened.
Hmm.
Andrea Day has a voice that nobody has figured out what part of the market she could be. She's trying to get a whole bunch of stuff,
But I think a lot of times when you have a unique voice,
right?
everybody, or if you're a unique musician, everybody doesn't get you, and everybody's not going to get you.
Right.
And what a lot of musicians do is they become more commercial. I know Tony
Commercialized,
Braxton.
right.
I saw Tony Braxton one time, and she spoke a little bit, and somebody asked her what the most important thing was, to make it in the business. She said to be marketable.
Right.
That's the number one thing. She
Well,
said, I the kind of music that I really like doing, when I first came out, people wouldn't buy it.
hmm
And so somebody said, well, every song you made was a love song. She said, right, because that's what my brand was.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's it.
And she was very marketable, and that's another case where I think the brand
right.
might have been a little stronger than the music.
Well, it was just like, when Marvin Gaye
Mhm,
went to activism,
mhm.
and Barry Gordy said, you know, and stop singing it. You sing ballads. You ain't got to say, what's going on. And man, forget all that stuff.
Yeah.
He refused to let him even. He refused to market that. Stevie Wonder had to put him on his label, and they produced it without Barry really knowing what was going down.
Hmm.
See, so you know, and what it do made a greater success than all of his loyal songs and
Those
stuff.
were his
So,
biggest songs. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and see the trouble with the artists today is that they want it fast. They see with the media and where to look at now. No, we didn't have computers and we didn't have all this stuff, so we had to go to the record store and buy a record. Don't even have record stores no more. You had to, they download music. You got to, and you look and you say, how do I get it? The guy told me, he said, hey, you got to make a record, put it on YouTube with a video, and see how many likes you get on that, and see if you can get like a 500,000 likes, and then the record company will sign you.
Well, it's all data driven now. It is.
Right.
It's all data driven. Yeah.
Right. So therefore, in fact, you got to figure like this: in the music industry, there were four main people that changed the way that music was done, and that's Ray Charles, James Brown, Prince. Now they uh they did where in business is what it is now. I can own my own masters. I can run my own show. I can do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Michael Jackson made it hard after Thriller. No record company wanted. Back in our day, we can send two records, two songs to them and they sign you. Now they want damn near a box set, and every song got to be a hit because on that Thriller album, every song was a hit, and
Hmm.
that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, you're
You
right.
know. And
Yeah.
then when you talk about music and you talk about a record company, in which a lot of people are, producing stuff and doing them, doing things themselves, but you had your A&R people, you had people that look at it and say, okay, how can we market this?
Hmm.
And see, there are people here in this city that people can go to. It won't cost them a whole lot of money, get their graphics done, get all this stuff, get their image done, and talk to some people and get this. The problem is people say, well, when you make it, I want you to take care of me. And
Hmm.
they'd be like, no, if you really want me to make it, you'll do all this for free. you know? And
Yeah.
people say, well, wait a minute, why if you make it, I'm gonna help you make it. That's why you put them under contract. Am I right?
That's right.
You
Yeah.
put them under contract because the world, you try to keep them, from actually going out doing stuff. But the brand is what they're looking at.
Hmm.
How we can make this. And the fifth and last part of the is the multi-brand strategy.
Hmm.
That's the last strategy. That's highlighted. It said in this strategy, you need to enter the existing product category with a different brand name. This strategy actually has its role when you are analyzing, the conglomerates. But for simple companies, this strategy is not much practical, or least in it has been, because see, if you don't have a line,
Hmm.
you can't have a multi-brand, strategy, because all you got is one brand. But
Right.
not saying that one brand can't work, because
Yeah.
you know as well as I that a lot of these brands came about accidentally.
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
somebody gets something going and there it is. I mean, they didn't set out to do that,
Yeah.
but somebody down the line said, well, let's make clothes. Hey, let's make tennis shoes. Hey, let's do this. Let's put your
Well,
name on
I
this.
think once you have established um, excellence at doing one thing, g- people assume if you do one thing good, you can do other things good. For instance, I don't know why, but if you're a good basketball player, sometimes people listen to you when it comes to telling them who to vote for.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense, but there's an assumption a lot of times. And I think the same thing with branding. When you do one thing good, people, you extend that brand, or stretch that brand to something else, people will give you the benefit of the doubt and check the brand out on your new products.
Right.
I mean, J-Lo makes way more on perfume than she does on singing.
Right.
I think what last year was it 300 million or something. I mean, it was some stupid number.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So
But
because of the brand, because she's sexy, she's beautiful, she can dance, she can
right.
sing a little bit, and
Hey.
she's got a positive, a positive brand.
And see, I can buy some and give to my old lady and say, hey, I want you to smell like J-Lo.
That's sort of the subtext out. Yeah.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of psychology in marketing and advertising. There's a lot to it, and social differences and what's going on. What's going on. It's just like the climate now. Let's talk about the climate. The climate is like now everybody's starting to think about Black Lives Matter. Where are we in this universe as being Black people? Where are we as a people now? We are trying to establish our position in this. Like, hey, we just as good as y'all. We all the same. That's why you have the branding. You have just today. I was watching the news this morning. Here's a company, Eskimo Pie. Now we grew up on Eskimo pie. When we went to the store to get some ice cream, give me an Eskimo sandwich, give me an Eskimo pie sandwich. But we didn't know till recently that Eskimo is a derogatory term to the native Alaskans.
Right.
It means one who wears snowshoes and the eater of raw meat. Now, if Black or Negro meant eater of raw meat, I mean,
Yeah.
And then you have like Aunt Jemima. Well, we know all the things that happened with the Cleveland Indians. With Chief Wahoo, get rid of because it was offensive to them. Chief Wahoo and this.
I tell you something. In terms of what's happening, what's going on now. The brand. You can limit your brand,
right,
by being perceived as bigoted. For instance, NASCAR. I don't know if you've ever been to a NASCAR race, but I had an artist that used to do these NASCAR races, and it's like 125,000 people there. She would do the national anthem, and then she would do a show before. But I mean, it's like I never seen so many people in my life.
Well, a lot of people don't know that NASCAR is the most popular sport in America.
Yeah, it is. It is.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, let me tell you, she's singing national anthem, and I looked at the numbers. It was for a race a couple years, Dover Speedway. It was Xfinity Series. 18 million people saw her sing the national anthem.
Right.
I mean, and that's just unbelievable. But NASCAR realized they could be even bigger if they got rid of Confederate flags.
Right.
Because that's not who they are. And that is a case where the appearance of being bigoted, whether true or not, limits your brand expansion, your brand enhancement. And I guess there was another incident today where the only Black driver had a noose.
Right.
Found a noose in his garage. So
you see, LeBron spoke out on that too.
Yeah. Well, see, NASCAR realizes that it's not just, it's not only the right thing to do, but it makes good business sense too.
Right.
Because
if I could bring more people, because NASCAR figured that that's their history because it started with the moonshiners. They was making making the engines faster and bigger to to outrun the revenuers. So that's how what's the name just a few years ago died, Jimmy Johnson or something like that, one of the first people in the NASCAR race, and he was like president and all that stuff. But they were all moonshine runners.
Right,
You
right.
know, so when it got to be a sport uh, in racing,
Hmm.
remember that movie that Richard Pryor did, where he was the first black race car driver.
No, I don't remember that one now.
Okay, that was it. But you know, they can look it up. But Richard Pryor was the first black, and you know they were dealing with the racism and stuff like that. But when we're talking about branding and thing affiliation, you know,
Hmm.
it can have a positive or negative. What was this group that just changed their name because they realized they had taken a name, had been using this name like Annabella or something like
Lady
that?
Antebellum. They
Yeah.
didn't really realize what the name
Meant.
meant. You know what I'm saying?
You know,
And the context in which the name. But I think more so than that is people. Racism has been so ingrained in America that people are now realizing the many different ways that it shows up.
right. Exactly.
You
You
know what I'm
know,
saying? Yeah, and they're saying, they say, oh wow, we gotta change this because it does, it and see things. We're not just the United States or Canada or Mexico. Everything is worldwide now.
right.
I mean, you can get on a plane and be on the other side of the world. You
No
get on a
doubt.
plane in the morning in LA, and be in Zurich, for dinner.
Right.
So the world is much
It's
smaller.
shrinking. It's
Yeah,
shrinking.
yes, it's shrinking. It's much smaller. Yeah,
Right.
and I think that because it is, then we have to be aware. Your brand, you have to be aware of what your brand does, and how you can have a tarnished brand that's going to limit what
Right.
you can do and where you can play. You
And
know what I'm saying? Because see,
and
NASCAR is not just only looking at this country. NASCAR is looking at taking over racing worldwide.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So they don't want Confederate flags.
To
When they
slow them
go,
down.
yeah, when they go to UK or when they go to South Africa
They
or
don't
when
want to. They don't want to be met with protests.
when they go to Canada, they don't want their brand tarnished in that way. You
Hmm.
which like I say, is not only the right thing to do, but it makes good business sense too.
But
You know.
see, artists today, they have a better chance, to become successful. They
Hmm.
have a better chance.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Not saying that everybody becomes a success and so forth and so on, but and then we get to I got a buddy of mine, Verl. His his daughter wrote some songs, and I sent them to Teddy Riley's little brother and TC Tompkins. I don't know if you know TC, but TC was the one that discovered Teddy Riley now. So,
Okay.
Emilion White is from Cleveland, and Emilion White was Teddy Pendergrass's road manager,
Okay.
and he's in the radio and stuff now. And I would send stuff to him, and he would hook me up with record companies and stuff. People would be like, okay, yeah, this is good, but what else is happening? What is this? How old is this person? This girl was singing about her, thinking about her broken heart and stuff. And said, well, this woman's in her 20s. This sounds like a song that a 17-year-old would play. Well, give it to a 17. Oh, let
Yeah.
them see. Because we know that the writer get all the money anyway. you know,
But
but
what's interesting though now is they look at the data. They look at the
right.
data analytics
Oh yeah.
from Facebook and Instagram, from all the
Right.
social media,
Right.
and they're able to make projections
Right.
based on the data analytics on who's going to be famous.
And they know how much money if they invite you into their organization. They know what your expectations are, and they have to do everything that they can. I
Mhm.
mean, even with Michael Jackson. Remember, he was suing Sony before he died because they didn't promote his album the way that they said they would, and then which made him lose his collection because he put up his collection as collateral for it. So they didn't do what they were supposed to do, which means that they own the collection now. So he had to sue them to get to get his collection back. I don't even know if he got it back, but
Yeah, he
never.
got it back. Yeah, he got it
Yeah,
back.
but they had a strategy against him to say, well, we're not going to promote this because we want this collection.
Well, you know why? Because Michael Jackson,
I got the Beatles stuff.
He owned so much stuff.
Right.
He owned the James Bond theme song. I mean, he had Sony ATV. The ATV is Michael Jackson's company. So he had so much stuff. He had Elvis's stuff. He had the Beatles stuff.
He was his own brand.
He had the Temptations. He got stuff from Barry Gordy Jr., from Motown. He had Marvin Gaye. So he had accumulated so much stuff that they just it's a shame. I remember Chaka Khan said one time, she said, well, she said, what's the worst thing about a record label? She said, you worth more to them dead than alive.
Yeah.
And it's funny because after he died, he made more money than he made while he was living. Same thing.
Because they say he was basically bankrupt. Now he got a surplus. Now millions of dollars.
He had developed a good brand. I think that carried over into his publishing company too. He developed a brand as the top notch, the king of pop or whatever, and that carried over. But I think branding. I've often felt that when an artist first starts out, they kind of like, and I'm sure you probably heard this before from labels, and you say, well, what do you think about her? Say, well, we don't really think she knows who she is. You ever heard that before?
Right.
We don't think
or we got to find. Y'all have to find her identity.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, and what one of the things that I would always suggest to artists is to do a vision board. One thing a vision board does is you put things on a vision board you feel that represent you, things that you desire, and after you get 50 to 60 images on there, you start saying, oh yeah, I remember, I like to do this. Or I remember, I really felt good when I did that or something. But it's sort of a self-discovery process, and I know with a lot of artists, they try to emulate someone else. And I think they get into trouble because that's not who they really are. Right. So I think, like you say, their identity, finding out who you really are, a vision board is one way you can do that.
I had a group here in Cleveland. There was 4 of them. And worked with them, taught them how to harmonize real good. I had a guy, Lawrence Howard, he came in, taught them how to harmonize real good and everything. And the record company told me, and this was 3 or 4 of them, oh, they can sing, but we ain't looking for a 4-man group. We looking for a 3-man group.
Yeah.
So now who do I get rid of? Everybody else, all the guys can hold their own weight.
Yeah.
I said, what if I did 3 in the alternate? No, because see, we don't want to deal with 4 people because that's too many, too many personalities.
Plus, a lot of times they look at the data, and they look at the data from the individuals, and they look at their social media, and they can tell, because like I said,
they're gonna be a problem or not.
They can tell who's gonna be the problem, and they can also tell who they can get rid of, and that's one less person to pay.
Exactly.
And sometimes, like you say, addition by subtraction, like I know the Tony Braxton story about the Braxtons. All 5 of them went to audition for L.A. Reid and Babyface.
They only wanted.
They said, I'll tell you what.
They only wanted Tony.
Before y'all can get lost, so Tony will sign you. Because they didn't need them. They, you know what I'm saying? They didn't, and I think that, that happens a lot. They look at the data and they look at, who they need and who they don't need. And they base it, a lot of times they base.
And let me tell you this also, you can have, we've built, in the record industry, when I was general manager of Time Tracks, we would build a brand and a concept and an image and everything. And the record company shoot it down. This is what we wanted to do. We had a major deal with Terry Scott, Monkey Paw, and he was getting played all over America. And then somebody said, "Hey, this Monkey Paw is a drug." It's just like It's like, okay, after they got their money, because they gave us like a $75,000 advance. After they got their money, they just bam, cut it. And the thing is that in marketing, like I told Terry, him and Ray, him and Ray Ruffin, was the engineer. And I said, man, you know, if we had just known, you know, that's what y'all was talking about, we could have had just the monkey dance or the or the monkey eye or
Mhm.
something else or name the song because the whole thing. And if you look online, it's the monkey part is considered one of the greatest R&B funk songs.
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm saying, but and it's being played now. I got it on my playlist.
Mhm.
Another one was with Frederick, but I'll be gentle.
Mhm.
They wanted Frederick, but Janice Dolan, rest her soul, because she passed away. But she did the female part on that. But the record companies didn't want her because she was a plus size woman, a light skinned plus size woman. And when he went on the road, he took a smaller, dark skinned girl with him, and she couldn't hit the notes that Janice was hitting. So they killed they killed his tour right there. So the song, it did well, but it could have done a lot better, because it was produced Ray and Terry. It was written by GLC Mims, and man, Mims then wrote it. Another one was right out of here, Cleveland. We had in our studio was Danette and Rice. Uh, Anthony Rice is still singing. I think he's singing with the Rude Boys, and
Okay.
or somebody like that. Out of that camp. But I saw him at Lock 3, and we talked, and they wanted him, but they didn't want the girl because we said, you send bios and the pics and stuff of them. They said they didn't want the girl because she had heavy Africanoid figures. These white folks talking to you like this.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
had a
And and then they but that's why they've sort of moved to database
right,
decision making, because before they really start using data, what they would do is they would ask the DJs and the music execs.
right. What's being played?
Billboard would ask them, say, "Who's hot, man? Who's
Right.
hot? Who's on the move? Who should be number one? Who should be number two?" And most of it was rock and roll. You
And
know.
then they would
Then
call
when they went to data, when they
right.
started using data, and Billboard says, "Well, in the early 2000s, we're going to base where you fall on the chart by how many records you sell." Guess what
Right.
happened? Hip hop and country moved to
Right.
the top of the
Took
heap. And
over.
before
Right.
that, they had kind of put hip hop and country off to the side and didn't consider those major genres. And now hip hop and country both are bigger than rock and roll
Right.
because the data, hip hop and country is what most people actually listen to and most people actually buy.
Right. And
Yeah.
see, that's another thing. At that one when they were selling records, they had these places called the one stops where they carried all the records. All the record stores went to there and they would call them and
Mhm.
ask them, well, what's hot? What y'all got
Yeah,
selling?
yeah, yeah,
They
yeah,
they did it like that.
yeah.
And then a
But
lot of people.
back to branding though, just um, for the artists out there, just always keep in mind that branding is a marketing tool. It's,
Strategy.
it's a reflection of your overall message, your identity, your personality, your style, your value, your beliefs, your ambitions, and your music. It's everything that helps people identify you and experience your unique brand of music. Branding is probably one of the most important, um, I say, things to becoming successful. Because you have to differentiate yourself from everybody else. You have primary branding, then you want to extend your brand, then you want to enhance the extensions, so on and so forth. So I think to focus on branding is probably one of the most important things you can do in order to really enhance your career.
Yeah,
I know a lot of times it's easier said than done, but if it's not something that you are very familiar with, get somebody. There's a lot of people have a lot of experience with branding. Get somebody that knows about it and can help you sort of develop. That's just like I tell you, one of the most powerful brands in the world. And sometimes a brand can be so powerful that you don't have to be able to do a damn thing.
right.
What do the Kardashians do? Do they sing? Do they dance?
Don't. Hey, I can't say it on this one.
Do they act?
I can't say it on here.
What do they? I mean, what do they do? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
They date athletes. That's what I'm gonna say. They date athletes.
But I'm just saying their brand, though,
Right.
worldwide is so crazy.
Right.
That
Well, actually,
Kim extended her brand to Kanye, and now he's a billionaire.
right. And see, that's the
He
thing.
didn't extend his brand to her, the Kardashian.
But where did it start at?
The Kanye West, and now
Where
he's a
did it-
billionaire.
Where did it start at? It started with the O.J. Simpson, with their father.
Yeah, it started with Rob
Where it started.
Kardashian, and OJ, that's
Right.
where it started. You're right.
Hey,
yeah.
let me say this right quick. This is from Dr. Shomo Knows, my daughter Anissa, Dr. Anissa.
Okay.
He says, I'm watching y'all. Common's last album is called Let Love. He said he just released a book called Let Love Have the Last Word.
But that's why she's a physician and we're not, because we would never remember that,
Dr. Shomo knows. All right.
Okay.
I guess Dr. Shomo do know.
But focus on your brand, because here again,
Right.
if your brand is strong enough, you don't have to be able to do anything.
And what you know, she has a brand too. That's her brand. Dr. Shomo knows.
knows. Yeah.
That's her brand.
Yeah.
You know?
So
Man, y'all dropped some major nuggets today.
All right.
Major nuggets. I appreciate it. We had this note. I'm telling you, I was sitting here taking mental notes, trying to take more notes. What last words do you guys have for just aspiring artists, producers, songwriters that are trying, or even just studio owners or anybody that's trying to develop a brand? What final words do you have for anybody?
Okay, I got a final word for them. Don't get hung up in starting the brand. Do your product first. Make sure your product is tight and make sure that it's marketable. The rest will come.
I would agree with that. I think the brand kind of develops itself.
Right.
When you are excellent at doing something, then the brand just kind of develops itself. And always remember, you can't just say, I want to be this, I want to be that. A brand is who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
So here again, develop your product, your music, be the best at what you do, and the brand will kind of develop itself.
That's it. You're absolutely right, Robert. I appreciate you.
That's good. So I know people are going to watch this back. This is not just live. It is live right now, but it's not just live. We put it on YouTube, and sometimes we put it on Spotify podcasts and things like that. How can people connect with you guys so that they can reach out and ask more questions?
Okay, Russell Ent Group 1 on Instagram, RussellEntGroup1 Instagram.
You can find me at MW Shomo, SHOMO, at yahoo.com, or get in touch with Dr. Shomo Knows.
Man, thank you again. We appreciate you, sir, for joining us. Mr. Vaughn, as always, it's always a pleasure. Y'all know we can find this show, Let's Talk, where we break down the music business, music industry, having special guests on here every Monday, 7 p.m. Y'all join in. Tell your mama to tap in. We here, we create because we created by the creator. Peace.